It's Decision Point again on Lagos Television, and we're glad that you can join us. My name is Omololu Rosanwo. Today on Decision Point, we shall be looking at Nigeria's current economic reforms. Of course, we know that inadequate funding and mismanagement of funds has had its toll on Nigeria's development and is still having its toll on Nigeria's development. Successive administrations have come up with various policies to make Nigeria come out of its economic doldrum. In the build-up to the 2023 general elections, the four presidential candidates said the removal of subsidy or fuel subsidy is a must. And that explains why President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, when he came to power on May 29, 2023, removed the fuel subsidy. The removal of that subsidy has come with its advantages, and also it has come with disadvantages. That is what we'll be looking at today on Decision Point. And I have two guests that will be doing justice to that. But linking me via Zoom is Bala Zaka. He's also an energy expert. He's also an economic affairs expert and also an accountant and a tax professional. Comrade Bala Zaka, nice to have you on Decision Point.
Thank you, and I greet our viewers across the globe.
Yes, nice to have you. Yes, in that prologue, I talked about us having economic reforms in Nigeria, which is currently ongoing. Now, what do you make of that economic reforms put in place right from the past, and also specifically from May 2023, when President Bola Ahmed Tinubu came to power?
Well, thank you very much. We went into democracy around 26, 27 years ago. Every leadership comes in and plays her own part. And as far as I'm concerned, we went into democracy because we felt democracy is a system of governance that will give an opportunity for credible or elected leaders to lead. And it was also going to give an opportunity to citizens to air their views. And as far as I'm concerned, all the leaders have been doing fine as far as leading the country is concerned. But in recent times, probably in the last 10, 12 years, some of the policies of the government regarding the macro and microeconomic indices, I can tell you personally, they've not been fair. And the major ones have to do with government knowing its responsibilities. To the best of my knowledge, government is supposed to provide goods and services. And if government is supposed to provide goods and services, it is expected that when citizens, whether individual or corporate citizens, enjoy the services of government, they are supposed to make sure they carry out their aggregate economic activities and comply with civic responsibilities of complying with the laws and paying their taxes and levies. But the only way you can do that is if the economy is doing fine. So as far as I am concerned, some reforms were taken in a kind of chronological order in the last 12 years or thereabout. And that has to do with tampering with the energy that was going to help Nigerians to carry out aggregate mobilities of activities. It was done in chronology and the effects were clearly there. What am I talking about? You're talking about a country where we have more than 200 million citizens relying on less than 10,000 megawatts electricity generation. It was very clear that we were not going to do well. It was also clear that the strategic industrial sectors, the strategic commercial sectors, and the strategic domestic sectors will not do well if you have that small quantity of electricity generation. So we needed to go and look at sources of energy that will help us. Whether they were being managed properly or not is a different thing. We can discuss that. And that brought us to the concept of subsidy. To me, subsidy is a globally economy pain cushioning concept. Subsidy works everywhere. It is an economic concept to cushion the pains of citizens, whether individual or corporate citizens, and subsidy is supposed to be provided by government. And because it is a globally accepted economic pain cushioning concept and principle, if it is not working in a particular country, then it is not the subsidy that has been vitiated. It is not the global definition that has become irrelevant. The only thing happening is it is not being properly applied in that country. Just like we say, democracy is a system of governance. So if you look at some countries, democracy is not working well because some leaders have been in power for probably 20, 30, and 40 years. So when you say democracy is bad, it is the application that made it bad in that country. So for Nigeria, the removal of subsidy on petroleum product was ill-advised. Even though those saddled with the responsibility of providing the petroleum products were also involved in all kinds of corruption and economic betrayal of Nigeria. So what I wanted to say is this: from the chronology, when the government, probably before this one, started by removing subsidy on the price of diesel, we saw the effect. Strategic industrial sectors, strategic commercial sectors, and strategic domestic sectors started collapsing. When they removed subsidy on the price of kerosene, we saw the negative effects. When they removed subsidy on the price of aviation fuel, it was only God that saved Nigerians, because flight and travel by flight became difficult. It was just God that saved us, that we didn't experience air crashes. In fact, on the diesel in particular, it got to a point where a trip from the northern parts of Nigeria to the southern parts of Nigeria that was supposed to cost probably a tanker or a trailer of goods, a trip that was supposed to cost like probably 150,000 in terms of diesel cost, is now costing probably 1.5 or 2 million. So we didn't expect anybody to let us know that, that policy was not right. And government needed to understand, when you talk about subsidy, you are just talking about providing something that will cushion the pains. So if those saddled with the responsibility, whether in NNPC or somewhere, or the contractors are not doing well, that does not mean you will throw away the subsidy concept. Okay. If you say you will throw away and we take it to probably, let's talk about security now. So does it mean if some people, whether in customs or army or navy or civil defense, are not doing well, then the next thing you will do is to scrap the security agencies? No.
Okay, Mr. Zaka.
Security agencies is technically subsidizing security for Nigerians.
Okay, let me ask you this question. Yes, just hold on, Mr. Zaka. Yes, I recall that sometime that the government said that subsidy was being given to a few set of people, and it was draining the country, and that the country could not actually make ends meet. About 27 states could not even pay salaries, and the subsidy had to go, which explains why the president said it must be removed, in line with what other presidential candidates said. But we hear recently that the Alhaji Atiku Abubakar is saying he is not in favor of subsidy removal. Meanwhile, he said he had removed it, that in support before. So in situations like this, would you want economy of Nigeria to crumble, or would you want a situation where we'll get out of this economic quagmire?
Thank you very much for that excellent question. I want to let you know that I have always been against the removal of subsidy across board. When I was talking about that, it had nothing to do with any political gladiator. There may be just a coincidence. And like I told you, I'm talking about my position probably 10, 15 years. I've been talking about this right from the time of probably former President Goodluck Ebele Jonathan. So you're talking about 15 years ago. What we are saying is this: subsidy is an economic pain cushioning concept. So depending on the area you are providing the subsidy, if those that the government has entrusted that responsibility are not doing well, you are not going to throw away the concept in that sector a practical example is this. Suppose the only reason why we have primary schools, secondary school, and tertiary institutions are public institutions is because government wanted to give subsidy in education. So does it mean vice chancellors, heads of departments, provosts, principals in secondary school, and headmasters are diverting all the funds for primary school, secondary school, and tertiary institution respectively? Then we will just scrap public education and tell them to go and sort themselves, or they should resort to private educators to help them. It's the same thing. So that was why I gave this example. So let's go to health also. The only reason why you have public hospitals is because there is a need to provide subsidy in health. So does it mean if chief medical directors, federal medical center nurses and doctors are diverting and stealing the drugs and they are not providing what government wants them to provide, then the next thing is you will scrap public health sector? You don't do that. What you do is this as government. You already have good intentions to cushion the pains of your citizens. So what you do is this: those saboteurs that are making sure that subsidy on education, subsidy on petroleum product, subsidy on health or in health are not getting to the citizens. Those saboteurs are those that you are going to flush and do away with. But what Nigeria or our leaders did in the case of petroleum products was that they removed the subsidy on these petroleum products and they still left the saboteurs there. And that's why we are not doing well. Because if you look at it, after removing the subsidy, tell me if the lives of Nigerians has improved. The lives have not improved because the saboteurs are there. I learned some people are saying that when subsidy was removed, the subnationals now have plenty of naira to work with. And I asked a simple elementary question. Since the subsidy was removed and the subnationals have enough money now to carry out, I am waiting to be shown one state that is now providing public water as we used to have in those days, because the subnationals now have enough money. I am waiting to see that state where anybody can go and turn on a tap water and get water. I'm waiting. Then you remove subsidy. I am waiting for anybody to tell me or to convince me or explain to me how subsidy has helped farmers. Because as I speak to you now, a 50 kg bag of fertilizer is about 55,000 Nigerian naira. So 2 bags of fertilizer are already more than the entire minimum wage of Nigerians. And when you go to the farmers, I'm waiting to see that honest farmer that can break even. They cannot. Then let's come to the simple people. That's why we don't need to be talking about grammar, technicalities on GDP. Let's talk about Nigerians. Let's talk about the vulcanizer. If a vulcanizer buys 10 liters of petrol today, he will need how many at 12,000 Nigerian naira? Tell me how many tires he will vulcanize before he breaks even. If a hairdresser buys 10 liters of petrol or diesel at about 12,000 or 18,000 Nigerian naira, tell me how many hair that hairdresser is going to work on. So when we talk about growth and development, we are talking about the basic things. Everybody knows that SMEs have collapsed. Everybody knows that the manufacturing sector has collapsed. They are not producing like before. And for those who are arguing that there will be smuggling if the prices of petroleum products go down, I'm asking them a simple question. Where are you having the customs authority of a country?
Okay.
Where you put somebody from a constable to controller? And if they cannot control their borders, is that how other countries are allowing their borders to be porous?
Okay, Mr. Zaka, I'm going to hold your thoughts for some moments, but I'm still going to come back to you because these are burning issues that we need to actually trash out today. We'll quickly take a break. When we come back, then we will start to continue with the discussion. Please stay tuned.
Oyinlola Turaki-led PDP structure back APC governorship candidate for Osun poll. They hint their support for the candidate they believe could provide inclusive leadership and a different direction for the state. Accord Party's presidential candidate, Christopher Imumole, declared support for President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. Imumole, who withdrew from the 2027 presidential race, says Tinubu has shown the ability to navigate the country's complex political and economic challenges. Wike denies lobbying for APC campaign council DG. He reiterates his unflinching support for the re-election of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, saying he will ensure APC victory in Rivers State and the FCT. INEC extends deadline for submission of nominations for state elections to August 11. The extension of the upload to the Commission's dedicated portal follows appeals from political parties.
You're welcome back to Decision Point on Lagos Television. We've been discussing economic issues and we've been talking about Nigeria's current economic reforms. Just like I said earlier, the president of the country, Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu, believes that removal of subsidy, which other presidential candidates also agreed that will move Nigeria forward. While some are in support of this, some are also saying no, it shouldn't have been removed. And one of them is Alhaji Atiku Abubakar, who initially supported that move. I've been speaking earlier with Bala Zaka, an economic expert and also an oil and gas expert and also a comrade, Comrade Bala Azaka. But with me here in the studio also I have another comrade who will also be adding his voice to what has been said earlier. Both of them will be discussing this issue. I have with me Comrade Declan Ihekare. He's a civil society activist. Declan, nice to have you on Decision Point.
Thank you so much, and good evening, Nigerians.
Yes, I've been speaking with Comrade Bala Zaka and we've been talking on issues of Nigeria's current economic reforms. Those reforms have their advantages. They also have their disadvantages. What are the advantages of these reforms?
Yeah, thank you. I have always been an advocate against any policy of the government that will affect the masses. And so I strongly want to believe that one of those policies that I strongly detest that was carried out was the removal of petroleum subsidy, that fuel subsidy. I was against it because a paying or a removal of subsidy on petroleum products would definitely affect almost every sector of the economy. I remember clearly that then the government was saying that they removed it because few people were milking the nation through the subsidy. And those few identified people till date have not been punished. And so you have removed it from the few identified unpunished, all right? You now gave it to the governors who cannot easily be held accountable or responsible. And so you begin to see that there's no way it will trickle down. The benefit of the subsidy removal will not trickle down to the people because those governors are not easily reachable by the people. And so I would have preferred a situation where you have identified those that were responsible for subsidy diversification, that made it very impossible for the people to benefit, then you should have punished those ones and probably reenact a position where you block every avenue where what is meant for the masses actually get to the masses. But at this point in time, I strongly want to believe that subsidy should be, government should look at a way of making sure that there's a palliative measure in respect of the fuel consumption of Nigerians. What am I saying? Now look at it from this angle. I remember when the subsidy was removed, we were made to understand that NNPC filling stations were to be established at every nook and cranny, and truly they came up truly. We started seeing NNPC filling stations, megas filling, mini filling stations here and there, believing that the fuel that will be sold in those filling stations will be lesser in prices to what other people sell. But today you find out even some independent marketers sell below what NNPC is selling. So you begin to ask yourself, where is the money going to? If you're saying you're giving it to the governors, and you were the same government who said that the governors are lazy, that they always come cap in hand to Abuja to collect money, that they are ready to tap into the resources they have in their own state. Okay, now you are giving them enormous money. Tell me, how many of those governors today can categorically tell Nigerians that, oh, in my state, beyond going to Abuja, I've been able to do ABC to raise money from my state. So for me, it's an aberration. And I strongly want to believe that the current president we have now, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, if eventually he wins the election come 2027, he should look at a way of making sure that the palliative should be well directed towards the consumption and purchase of petroleum products, so that it will really trickle down to the masses. It's not enough giving people rice, it's not enough giving them cash as palliatives, but this is the only palliative in petroleum subsidy that can really go down to the people, to the masses, and to everybody that really matters. If you are receiving more money from your governor as a civil servant, and you end up spending that money on high cost of livelihood because of the high cost of buying petroleum product, then what are you really doing?
Okay. Yes, I'm still going to come to you. Let me quickly go to Bala Zaka. He's also in the energy sector, and he also knows some of these things. Mr. Zaka, I'd like to take you back to the Petroleum Industry Act, which is, of course, in operation now. That act says that petroleum subsidy must be removed to move forward. Now, in the energy sector, what's your own take in this area? Because if that is not done and palliative measures are not put in place, Nigeria would have gone bankrupt, and things will not be rosy as we speak.
Let me tell you, it was a pure lie. It was a pure lie, and I'm ready to have any debate with people who felt deregulation was going to be the way forward. But before I carry on my analysis, I want to greet Mr. Declan Ihekari. He is my senior professional colleague. And let me tell you one thing. When you were talking about, they said states were going cap in hand, cap in hand. Okay, now you have given them the money. Our naira has been devalued. To me, I mean, it is valueless now. But let's talk about the subnationals. If you go to the governors now, show me how many governors that have set up, processing factories of any sort, whether granite or palm oil or cocoa. Show me any processing factories. That was why I asked before now. Show me any governor that, because now subsidy has been removed, they get more money at the local government and probably at state level. Show me any state governor or local government chairman that has been able to provide basic public water. Show me any state governor or local government chairman that if you go to their states now and you go to motor parks, you will see public toilets. Do you know that in a place like Nigeria, you will go to motor parks and you want to ease yourself, there is no public toilet. And if there is no hygiene, and you are supposed to start from the basics, show me how people are growing. Then when we remove subsidy on diesel, many hospitals will go no light when they want to carry out operations. And even in basic economics, there should be substitute. If you want to do something, let there be substitute. Now you remove subsidy on the price of diesel. Is it Ogogo or Zobo or water that you want people to put in their generators to be able to run their hospitals or to be able to provide light and electricity in higher institutions to carry out activities? What do you expect people to use to run their cars and trucks and commute around countries? And that was why I asked, is it Zobo you want them to put? You didn't provide subsidies. So let me tell you, as far as I am concerned, what the government was supposed to do, as my senior colleague, Mr. Ehekari, said, was they were supposed to remove the saboteurs, not the subsidy. Because subsidy is something that is global to cushion economic pains of citizens, whether individual or corporate, even though some may be doing better than others. But it's a global concept. But now, you remove the subsidy, you left the saboteurs. And I can tell you, I want to also believe that the reason why we have leaders is because we elected them and handed over our economic, political, and social destiny for them to manage in national interest. And so, if they surround themselves with propagandists and economic betrayers and economic vampires, if our leaders refuse to support themselves with credible lieutenants, they will be completely misled. I want to believe that with the kind of propagandists and some of the liars that are deceiving some of our leaders, believe me, if our leaders have their way, they will have also cornered the oxygen that we breathe, and they will want to regulate it to make sure we pay for it. How can anybody explain that out of all the OPEC member nations, it is only Nigeria that does not have a single functional refinery?
Okay, yes.
Let me land on that. Let me land on that. Tell me what the sense is. You produce cassava, but anytime you need tapioca or gari, you have to go to somebody who does not cultivate, his soil cannot cultivate cassava, to buy gari or tapioca from that person. Or you produce so much beans, but anytime you want to eat akara or moi, you will now go to somebody who cannot even produce beans in their country. They are just buying beans from you, processing, creating jobs for their people, and you are going there to buy the akara.
Okay. Okay.
So I want to believe that our leaders are being misled by economic traitors, economic betrayers, and economic marauders.
Okay. We'll have to cut your discussion up for some time now. We'll probably relink you again. Let me quickly come to the studio here and start talking to Comrade Declan Ihekari. We'll link up with you again. Comrade, you just heard what he said there, but he took it out of my mouth. We were you touched briefly on it earlier when you were making your submission. We have refineries in Nigeria. Why are these refineries not working? Although the present president says he's making frantic efforts to ensure that we have refineries, we know that one of the private refineries has come up to cushion that effect. But how do you think the government can make efforts to ensure that we have all the 4 refineries working, if not 4, maybe 2 working at full capacity?
Yeah, thank you. It's very sad that at this point we're still talking about making the workability of our refineries. I'm very much aware that recently, if not too long, when it was made public that our refineries have started working, and some officials went there to telling Nigerians that refineries have started working. And I believe when that information came, the understanding I had and many Nigerians had is that, okay, if our refineries start working, what happens is that, of course, it will trickle down on the cost of petroleum products, at least we're the one refining the products. And so since our refineries are the one producing it, we should be able to benefit directly, probably reducing the cost of petroleum prices in this country. But what happened later? We found out that those refineries that were claimed to be working were not actually working, and we started celebrating Dangote Dangote refinery as if Dangote refinery belongs to Nigerians. It belongs to an individual, a businessman who is interested in making money. And so for me, I think the government of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu should surround himself with people who are very close to the grassroots. He should surround himself with people who feel the pains of the masses. I'll give you an instance. Let President Tinubu today disguise and enter the streets or the markets and ask average Nigerians in the market, oh, what do you think I should touch or the government should touch that will bring down the cost of gari, that will bring down the cost of pepper, that will bring down the cost of ABC? I can tell you, if not all, 100%, majority will tell you bring down the price of petrol, that everything will definitely come down. And so for me, I think beyond grandstanding, beyond saying, oh, we can't go back, we can't reverse it. No. There's always an avenue for you to revisit particular laws or acts that, that actually makes people feel pain. We're supposed to be enjoying the democratic dividends under this administration, bearing in mind who President Bola Ahmed Tinubu was, or where he was coming from as a Democrat, in quotes. But now, it's like he's surrounded himself with people who are far from the people, who are far from the grassroots, who are far from Oshodi market, who are far from Ilepo market, who are far from Ochanje market in Anambra State. So we should have people that really have the mind of serving the masses. And so if that is done, I can best assure you that Mr. President will listen to Nigerians by one way or the other, reducing the cost of petroleum products in this country. And if that is done drastically, every other thing will begin to come down beyond our expectation. And so, for me, I will appeal to the president, if willing, probably by the people's mandate, he comes back to be the president of this country. I want to appeal to him that the next 4 years should not be a period of pain. It should not be a period of making promises, telling people to go and calm down, to go and relax, that things will be fine. Yes, we believe that things will be fine, but the major thing that's affecting us is the petroleum product. Like Bala rightly said, when diesel went up, so many industries did what? Collapsed. When kerosene also went down, the livelihood of our people began to go down. And so I heard somebody was saying the other time, oh, there are no fuel queues. Why would there be fuel queues when the number of vehicles we use have drastically reduced? I know of people who had cars, who have dropped their cars, and you are telling me that their livelihood has improved. No, that is not correct. The correct perspective is that we should not be suffering under what we have in abundance. We are the ones giving out this product to people. We are the ones selling the crude to people. We shouldn't be suffering under this government we call democratic government. I even suggested some time ago that why can't we have a situation where we give crude probably to Dangote and say, play, refine for Nigerians. And while that is done, we believe that whatever is coming from there is being monitored by government agencies to making sure that that crude given to Dangote or to whoever that's refining it will be benefited by Nigerians. And so for me, I want to say clearly and categorically that nobody hates this government. Nobody is saying President Bola Ahmed Tinubu is bad, is this. But for me, that policy or that principle or that position that he took by saying subsidy is gone without considering the effect of the Nigerian masses, I think should be revisited.
Okay, yes, okay, that's your position on it. But we also need to look at some position that we have. I have right up here from the Center for the Promotion of Private Enterprise, CPPE, and the chief executive is Dr. Muda Yusuf. He also was part of the LCCI before now, and he says that the macroeconomic stability is a means and not an end, and that he wants the government to look into productivity, stronger investment, more jobs, lower poverty, and also improve the standard of living. Now, that's the position of Dr. Muda Yusuf. Production will also increase jobs. So in these areas, how do we make this happen?
You see, it pains me when we say democracy is defined as government of the people, for the people. Okay? For me, it's better said that democracy should have been the government of the masses and for the masses. So whoever is at the helm of affairs should consider the interests of the masses beyond every other caliber or class of people. The problem we have in this country is that we have so many people who are bourgeois, who goes about terrorizing things happening in this country without having practical solution to solving this situation. I know Mr. Muda very well when he was in LCCI, and somebody like him, I believe in him and I trust in him. But for me, I also suggested that he should visit locals and find out what the pain is, where is paining them, and how to provide solution. The answer is very simple. Mr. Molulu, I tell you today, if the government comes tomorrow and say, okay, we are buying fuel now, 1,250. Okay, we're going to bring it down to 800 naira.
Does the government have the power to do that in
This kind of a system? Government has the power. Government has the power. Has the power in the sense that if you're giving so much money to the governors, and we are saying that those money we are not feeling the impact, you also have the right to like reduce what you're giving to the governors and bring it down to the people. That's what I'm saying. It's a kind of subsidy to the people. And I can tell you, if that is done, nobody will question this government or any other government. But if you're saying you're giving more money to the governors, you're just making them lazy. You're making them not responsive and responsible to what they're supposed to be doing. And now you tell me I should go and ask my governor what he's using the money for. How do I have access to my governor? How do I have access to them? You will tell me, okay, if they are not doing well, vote them out. Okay, we vote them out and you expect the EFCC or ICPC to go after them. How many of those governors that have been there before have been prosecuted, have been sent to jail? So it's something that we should really look into by making sure that the government comes down to the level of the ordinary man on the street, by making sure that rather than wasting those money going to the governors, the money should come down to the people of this nation.
Okay, we're still waiting to see if we can link Bala to sign up again, if we can still admit him. But you have talked a whole lot of talked about a whole lot of issues. Now, I asked the question earlier: is there no good thing in the subsidy removal? Because we see about 1.2 million students now that can access loan for education who have been given. We see that some social protection measures have been put in place. We see that IGR has increased. We see that construction of roads and infrastructure is springing up across the 6 geopolitical zones of the country. Are those not advantages of having more monies and also ensuring that more monies get to the hands of the people when salaries and other issues, monies go out to boost the economy?
You just made reference to NEFON now, and I laugh. I remember when NEFON was established, it was established on the basis that the students who assess the loan, and after completion of their service or other things, and they start work and they start paying. You ask yourself, where would those students work? After they have served, where are they going to work? Where are the companies? Who are going to employ them? The people that are going to employ them have already been made poor based on the economy itself that is not making them, energize their organizations. So you find out that you're just giving out those money to students in form of palliative that might not be returned again. And you now ask yourself, is it not the same government that a few days ago that said, okay, that they are running short of money for NEFON, that they should start using money that has been seized by EFCC or money that has been abandoned by people who kept them somewhere, that those money should be used for NEFON. And so for me, those are just easy way out of a big problem. So solving the bigger problem is to make sure that there is proper understanding on how we should run the subsidy on petroleum products. I repeat again, if why it was removed was because people were looting the treasury through that subsidy, and those ones were caught, I remember some names were mentioned. Till date, none of them has been taken to prison. Till date, none of them has been prosecuted. And so you ask yourself, is that enough to punish the entire people of the country? Is it enough? The answer is no. You cannot, because of the sin of few, you begin to punish the entire nation. And so for me, it is better you trace what led to why they were stealing those money, what led to why our petroleum products were being taken out of the country, and do the needful work, making sure that you block those leakages and make sure that Nigerian people benefit directly from what belongs to them.
Okay, yes, I'm sure time is not really on our side, but I think we are trying to establish connection with Bala Zaka. I don't think we can really take anything from you now, but than to say, look, let's give you 1 minute, sign up and say what you want to say to the president and to Nigerians this particular moment. Just 1 minute, please.
Okay, Mr. President, we already value you. We appreciate you. We know that you are not supposed to be the medical doctor. You are not supposed to be the chief accountant. You are not supposed to be the pilot. You are not supposed to be the vice chancellor. That was why you have supporting lieutenants. But as far as the oil and gas industry is concerned, honestly, Mr. President, we want to let you understand that some of your lieutenants are not being fair to you because the economy is truly prostrate. There is no way with our endowment of crude oil and gas, we cannot have a single public refinery working. And despite our role and position among Committee of Nations of OPEC. So, Mr. President, we want to believe that reviving the refineries alone will technically lead to lower prices.
Okay.
And technically, lower prices simply means technically subsidy.
Okay, thank you so much.
Respected.
Yes.
Mr. President, please do that for us.
Okay, thank you so much.
And keep appreciating you, but please let our refineries work.
Thank you so much. I think that's the much we can take today. Thank you so much, Mr. Bala Zaka, an economist, public affairs analyst, and also a petroleum engineer, and also a comrade. Thank you for being part of Decision Point. Yes, I also want to thank you so much, Declan Ihekare, for being part of Decision Point. Thank you for coming.
You're welcome.
Yes, on that note, we have come to the end of Decision Point 767 and 112. I'll say the lines always call in times of emergency, stay out of trouble. Ensure that you always also contribute your own quota to the development of Nigeria. I am Omololu Rosunwu. See you some other time.
How you doing? Malalo.